This movie is not getting the best reviews. Don't worry, the guy who loves Suicide Squad is here. Hellboy. This is a bank. I got it from Loot Crate. I was subscribed to them for 1 year. Got some pretty cool stuff out of it. So Hellboy is a reboot of the Hellboy movie franchise. You know, we had 2 movies from director Guillermo del Toro starring Ron Perlman, and people love them. I love them. They're great. So when word of this reboot started going around, most people were not happy about it. And then when the trailers came out, I was like, this looks awesome. And most people were like, we'll see. So this reboot is pretty straightforward. You have David Harbour as Hellboy. He was discovered by the Nazis, raised in the BPRD, the Bureau for Paranormal Research and Defense, and now there's this Blood Queen, Nimue, who has risen and wants to wipe out mankind, so Hellboy has to save the day. Alright, what I like about this movie, first of all, David Harbour as Hellboy. Right when I heard he was cast, I was like, that's perfect. Because Hellboy is supposed to be a shit talker, and if you've seen David Harbour in Stranger Things, then you know they could have picked a worse choice. Aside from the prosthetics that make his face look like it almost can't move at all, I feel like David Harbour did a really good job as Hellboy. A lot of his one-liners have me laughing out loud in my seat. He's funny, he's a dick, and when he throws down, it is awesome. But I'll get to the action a little later, because the support crew is also pretty solid. You have Sasha Lane as Alice Monaghan. I really like her backstory, and her chemistry with Hellboy I thought was really good. They have good banter back and forth. They don't meet up for the first time in this movie. They've known each other for a while now, actually. The new person to the crew is actually Ben Daimio, played by Daniel Dae Kim. And his character was he was alright. He has a chip on his shoulder. Like, he was fine, but he didn't blow me away or anything. Although his transformation to that Jaguar thing, like you saw in the trailer, that was pretty cool. The professor in this movie is played by Ian McShane. In the Del Toro films, it was John Hurt. And I gotta say, I like John Hurt just a little bit better in this role. It's just a matter of opinion. I felt like John Hurt actually felt like a father and loved his kid, Hellboy. With Ian McShane, I didn't really feel that, which also kind of leads to the movie's biggest flaw for me, which I'll also get to later. The villain Nimue, the Blood Queen, played by Milla Jovovich, I actually thought she was really cool. For holding a grudge against mankind since the 5th century. She's not completely emotionless. She actually does have some range. There were some moments with her where I was like, wow, shit. I get it. I don't relate to her. Shit, she's still trying to wipe out mankind. What I'm saying is there were just some moments that surprised me. And that's never a bad thing with a comic book movie villain. Now, one of the things I noticed right away when this movie started was that the editing was really stylistic, which is one of the things I feel like critics will be the most harsh on. It did actually kind of remind me of Suicide Squad, the way it was so stylistic. Most people didn't like that in Suicide Squad. I thought it was really cool. It added a cool flair to the movie. And I think the same thing here. I feel like it works here for those comic book movies that are kick your feet up, have a good time kind of movies, like Suicide Squad and Hellboy. You're allowed to be stylistic. You could choose to see it as choppy. I choose to see it as hit the ground running, because the movie knows what you came to see. And that is, say it with me now, the action, which was awesome. We're talking extremely gratuitous violence to an insane degree. It was glorious. Again, we have Deadpool to thank for that. People have fun with violence in comic book movies, and this one sugarcoats fucking nothing. The creature design, they're very freaky looking, some of them to a rated R degree. The way they're crawling around, I was like, I wouldn't be comfortable if this were in a PG-13 movie. The bodies are all contorting, and the sound effects, like bones breaking while they're crawling, I'm like, ooh. Yeah. So rated R brutality is a check and a plus for this movie. The humor was funny too. Once again, a lot of David Harbour's one-liners had me laughing out loud in my seat. But I felt like it was a different kind of humor than Ron Perlman had. It's actually kind of hard to explain without spoiling it, so I'm not going to do that here. But while we're comparing this to the Del Toro films, let's dive into this movie's biggest flaw in my eyes. And that is that, to me, this movie lacks a lot of the heart that the Del Toro films had. Which is fine, for a kick your feet up and have a good time, turn your brain off kind of movie, like this is marketed to be. I don't require all my comic book movies to have those sweet moments. Hell, Suicide Squad is the same way. Not a lot of heartfelt moments, it's more about the action and comedy. I feel like Hellboy really excels with the action and comedy. There is heart in here, but it's shelved compared to the action and comedy. That being said, Hellboy can be done with heartfelt moments. The Del Toro films had a lot of those. You remember that scene in Hellboy 2, The Golden Army, where it's Hellboy and Abe Sapien, they're sitting down, they're drinking beers, and they're listening to that one love song? They're just hanging out as buddies. There's no real moment like that in this new Hellboy movie, and that is kind of a bummer. Like I said, it's not completely lacking in heart. There are some good moments in here, but they just never come close to any of the good ones in the Del Toro movies, that's all. However, one more thing that is awesome in this movie, the music. The score was composed by Benjamin Wallfisch. Dude, he just did Shazam. His name's getting around, holy fuck. 2 comic book movies coming out sequentially, both scored by the same guy? Good for him. I will say though that I prefer his score for Shazam over his score for Hellboy. The score in this movie is really metal. A lot of hard electric guitars like you would expect from a movie like this. And it's cool and all, but again, this is one of those movies where it's more about the soundtrack. A lot of licensed songs in this movie. They're great rock songs, but I guess that's what makes me prefer Shazam's score over this one's. What I'm trying to say is the music of this movie was pretty good. It's what you would expect walking in. So in the end, the Suicide Squad lover in me enjoyed this movie. It was a lot of fun. I liked the characters, the action, and the violence. They are at the forefront here. Know that going in, because that is what this movie's all about. It's not going for an Oscar, it's just here to be fun. Once you accept that, I think you'll enjoy the movie a little more. For 2019's Hellboy, I will say, go see this movie while it's in theaters. And there is a mid-credit scene and a post-credit scene, so stick around for those if you feel like it. So the new Hellboy movie, have you seen it? What did you think about it compared to the Del Toro films? Whatever you think, go ahead and leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe.